Welcome back to the Bad Influence Podcast. I am Jordan Banderas, and on today's episode, I want to get something off my chest in regards to Valentine's Day. Don't get me wrong though, I don't hate it. And that's the truth. I don't hate this particular date. But I've noticed that people act differently when this time of year rolls around. Now, I hope you guys had a great Valentine's Day with whomever you consider your lover to be. I know I did. I spent time with my beautiful wife, but then I had to go to work. So literally, boo, it sucks. It fucking sucks, but such is life. So, one thing that I have seen for many, many years is that before Valentine's Day, it seems like many couples like to fight with each other. I don't know if you have been able to notice that, but this is one of the things that I've been able to see with a lot of couples. Or the problem is that I guess it's also that's how their life is. That's how their relationship is. That's a everyday type of thing. It's their normal of the day to get on fights, to argue, to do all these things. But every year, what I have seen is that 5 days before this particular date, February 14, couples stop fighting with each other. They start to get along with each other. They start talking. They start planning how they're going to spend that special day with each other. And here's the thing. It always goes back to the same bullshit with each other after this particular date. The bickering and fighting and everything else that was happening before Valentine's Day. So literally, they forget about everything. They forget that the roses were given, the cars, the diamonds, the luxurious dinners, having sex, Pau Chica Wow gets exchanged a lot during this date. You took her to the hotel. You guys went to a nice hotel. All of that is gone, literally. The day after you guys, or the day after we bang each other professing our love, like, oh, I love you so much. After that day, everything is gone. Everything is forgotten, and then everything starts all over again. It's like regular life hits you. Just like that. You start fighting again, like I mentioned. You start bickering. You start arguing. You start doing all of these things. But why? Why does this happen? This is something that I have asked myself multiple times throughout my life. Now, I'm not saying I'm an expert though. What I'm saying is that I know a little bit about this because my ass lived in basement apartments or apartments most of my life. And the walls were paper thin, so it was like surround sound sometimes. I heard people having sex. I heard people arguing. I heard so many fucking things that I didn't want to hear, but people were so loud. So I got to hear them unwillingly. I was like, well, might as well just enjoy the ride, That's pretty much how it was. But I also saw and heard people having the most ridiculous fights and arguments. And all for what? I always ask myself that question too. But due to all of these fightings that I listened to, I ask myself, why couples act this way with each other? And the first thing I notice is that people tend to go right back to judging each other. Right after Valentine's Day on February 15 at 12:01 a.m., they start judging each other. They start fighting again. And nothing changes after that. For another year. or at least until Christmas or birthdays. That's when it changes again. But something I realized is that in my own marriage, if my wife feels like I am judging her for anything she does, it can become the spark that ignites an argument or a fight. So as a result, I also believe that if you want to have a good relationship, you should not judge your partner at all. In other words, your relationship should be a place where your insecurities and judgments are left behind. They are buried outside your relationship. Like, don't bring that with you to your relationship. That's just my opinion. That's what I have done with my wife. Because when my wife and I got together, at first, we had a lot of issues with judgment. In the beginning, whenever I felt like my wife was judging me in any way, shape, or form, I would snap. Because nobody likes to feel that way. Right? Like, you don't like to feel judged, especially with with your partner, the person that you're living with, the person that you're spending most of your time with. You don't want to feel like that. Because it sucks. Nobody wants to deal with judgment. I also felt like she was judging me for everything I did, from how I talk to how I dress and little things like that. And she felt like I was judging her for not doing things the right way. Another example is that I would get mad when my wife couldn't understand me due to my accent. And she will ask me to repeat myself. Now, that will make me feel dumb. And I will feel like she was judging me because, in my mind, I thought that she should be able to understand what I was trying to say the first time. Because in my mind, I was speaking perfectly, which I wasn't. I'm going to be honest, I wasn't. And if she tried to correct me, that will be the beginning of a big fight for us. It started so many fights, which will really piss me off. And again, all of this led to many arguments and fights that were not necessary. And it felt like we were constantly on edge around each other, which also sucks for the sake of the relationship. Now, I've also seen and heard couples fighting due to similar situations to what I've experienced with my wife. I've seen couples fighting on social media due to one person criticizing the other for not making enough money, being tired, not helping with the kids, being lazy, and so many more things. However, if we think about it, all of these comes with a little side of judgment, which is really bad because someone is bound to be offended in the end. By you posting something on social media about your relationship, the other person might not take it the right way. You may be jokingly saying something, being sarcastic, but the other person might get offended by it. And then, again, it's going to start a fucking fight. And then you guys are going to fight. And instead of resolving the problem, it just gets bigger. So after seeing all of this bullshit on social media, my wife and I decided to work on our relationship, which is something I recommend everybody to do. We realized that if we wanted to make it work, we had to remove judgment from the equation. We started by being vulnerable with each other, which is hard to do. A lot of couples can't do that. One of the things that I did is that I opened up to my wife about my insecurities. And she did the same. We talked about what things were triggering us. And we committed to never judging each other again. So we made that commitment. We were like, you know what? anything I say, I'm not judging you. I'm committed to not judge you. And I want you to make that pledge with me that there won't be any judgment between us. Like, I won't judge you, you won't judge me. We will work throughout things without judgment. And you know what? It made all the difference. It absolutely did. Because our relationship became so much better. We can be ourselves around each other without feeling like we are being judged by one another for every little single thing. We are able to support each other no matter what, because there's no judgment. I know what she's trying to do. There's communication as well. So I know what she's trying to do. She knows what I'm trying to do. So we support each other. We give each other constructive feedback. And we know that feedback sometimes may come off as judgment, but it's not. Now, doing all of this, it's not about just avoiding negative feelings, though. Removing judgment from your relationship can bring so much positivity into your life. Because when you don't feel like you're being judged by your partner, your spouse, the person that you're spending most of your life with, you can let your guard down and just be yourself. Do whatever the fuck you want. Be who you want to be. You can relax and you can have fun. You can enjoy life. And when your partner supports you and doesn't judge you, it makes you feel so much more secure in the relationship, which is also important. If you don't feel secure in your relationship, then there's going to be fights. There's going to be triggers that are going to trigger you for whatever the other person is saying, because you're not going to be secure in that relationship. You're going to feel like your partner, your spouse, your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, is going to leave you because she's judging you all the time. And if she or he is judging you, then why should that person stay with you if you're not doing anything right? But by now, you may be asking, how do I remove judgment from my relationship, Jordan? And that's a great question. Because it starts with being vulnerable with your partner. Talk to them about your insecurities and explain to them what triggers you. Be open and honest about your feelings and work together to find a solution. If you need some help, consider therapy. I'm a big proponent of therapy because it helped me, whether it's individual or couples therapy, because getting professional help can be a great way to work through your issues and improve your relationship. That's why I did with me. And also, a therapist can help you figure out where your insecurities come from. And also, it can teach you how to process them in a healthy way. So you don't take it out on your partner, your kids, or anything like that. You can just be like, well, this is an insecurity. I need to work through this somehow. I need to figure out why I get insecure about this. And when you work through it, you don't have to worry about it. Because it still is going to be there, but you have worked through it and you know that you're stronger than your insecurity. So you're going to be able to realize that you don't have to be insecure about it. Another important commitment is to never judge each other. That's a very important commitment that I did with my wife. And this means you have to let go of any expectations you have of your partner. Don't expect anything from them. And accept them for who they are. Because when you do this, you'll find that your relationship becomes much more relaxed and enjoyable. You start enjoying your partner's company. That's what it does. You start enjoying their company. You start having fun with them. You start doing things with them. You start discovering life with them. You start traveling with them. You know? That's what me and my wife have been doing for a while. We've been discovering so many things here in Salt Lake with each other. We're creating those memories. Also, it's important to remember that relationships are a work in progress. You're never going to be perfect in your relationship. Understand that. And there will be always times when you mess up and judge each other, which is totally fine. Sometimes it will happen. It's a bad habit. But as long as you're committed to improving your relationship, you can overcome these challenges and build a stronger, more supportive relationship. You know, kind of like what me and my wife have right now. And I want to tell you this because it's important. I've done all these things with my wife. Everything that I'm talking about in this episode, I've done it. And let me tell you, my relationship changed for the better when I did all of these things. All of them. Absolutely all of them. I went to therapy and worked through my issues. That's why I'm a big proponent of therapy, because I know it helped me. You just need to find the right kind of therapy for you. We also went to couples therapy so we could learn to talk to each other in a way where we don't feel like we are being judged by one another. You know, we are calm when we talk, when we give feedback. We understand it's constructive, not destructive. So that's very important as well. Another thing that we did is that I opened up to my wife. I told her about my insecurities and explained her why I felt triggered when she did or said things. And she did the same thing. So I was able to understand her point of view, and she was able to understand my point of view. That's why it's important to be open, because when you tell your partner how you were raised, how you were treated, and if she's open or he's open to receiving that information and understanding you, what's going to happen is that your partner is going to be able to understand you even more as to why you react a certain way. But then it's up to you to work through that. And anyway, when my wife and I decided to work through our issues, this is very important, and this is one thing that I want to point out, and I want you to understand this. We didn't do it solely for ourselves as individuals. We did it for the sake of our relationship as a team. We did it for the sake of our team, Team Banderas. We talked about how we each express ourselves and acknowledge that it wasn't intentional just because something we say or do might come across as judgmental. Now my wife understands that my humor is kind of like dry and it comes across as judgy, but it's not. I'm just trying to be funny. That's how I am. And I also understand her humor as well, which sometimes it comes across the same way as mine. So we're meant for each other. But one thing that we also did is that we needed to understand this about each other. We needed to understand how we each express ourselves. We also made a commitment to never judge one another, as doing so would never help us move forward towards a better life and a better marriage, which is something that you have to strive for when you're in a relationship. And if you're married, even if you're just like together, you know, in a boyfriend girlfriend type of situation, or just living together, make it work for the relationship. Make it work for you guys. Make it better so you guys can have a better life. And if you guys decide to get married at one point, then you guys will know that you guys can actually work through anything. Because life is going to fucking hit you in the face at one point. Kind of like what it did with me. That's why we have such a strong marriage, because we have gone through so many fucking things that is like, why does this keep happening? You know? But because we're not judging each other, we are able to work through those issues. And that is extremely important to do. Now, the best part is that when we did this, it greatly improved our relationship. I can confidently say that I can fart and burp in front of my wife without fear of being judged. She doesn't judge me. I can fart and let her rip. And all she does, she just looks at me, smiles, and walks away. Same thing with burping. I have a funny story about this. The other day, we were eating nacho chips with queso from Costa Vida. So I was eating them. I wasn't giving her any. And she's like, "Brrr." So she burped. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, that's the signal for me to pass the queso and the fucking chips. And I pass it to her. I put it in front of her. And when I was going to say, here you go, I burp. I was like, I let her rip. And I was like, see, we can talk in burp. We didn't have to provide any words. We didn't say anything. We just burped and we knew what we were talking about. I knew that she wanted the chips and queso when she burped. And when I burped and I pointed to the chips and queso, it was like saying like, here you go. It's your turn. That's the kind of relationship that we have. And that's the kind of relationship everyone should have. Because as humans, we're going to burp, we're going to fart. I don't have to hide it from anybody. It's a human thing. We all do it. Dogs fart. Animals fart. It's like, why should I be ashamed of that? I ate Taco Bell the other day and I was farting all the time. And my wife didn't even complain. But anyway, now by eliminating judgment from your relationship, it will significantly enhance your life. As it can make you feel like you're often judged by others in life. It doesn't matter if it's your family, your friends, your coworkers. Sometimes you're going to feel like you're being judged. So your relationship should be a resource or a source of peace, love, and support. And not make you feel like you're doing something wrong. Which is one thing that happens in a lot of relationships that I have seen. One partner, one of the people in that relationship, makes the other person feel bad for whatever the fuck they're doing. If they're doing something wrong, it's like, oh, it's all your fault. You're dumb. You're this. You're that. You don't want that. Why would you stay on that? Who will want to stay in a relationship like that? I wouldn't want to stay in a relationship like that. That's why we work through our issues. That's why my wife and I work through everything that I've have talked to in the previous episodes, through our insecurities, through our family trauma, through our everything. And now we're happy. We're enjoying every single day with each other. We're making memories. We're making dreams come true. That's what we're doing. That's how your relationship should be. You support each other and you go after your dreams. That's what life is all about when you have a partner. So if you're with the right partner, or you guys are working into becoming the right partner for your spouse, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whatever, then bring them along your journey. Don't leave them behind. Bring them along, tell them what you want to do, and just tell them, I need your support, not your judgment. And if they're the right partner for you, they will understand and then they will support you. And because you're stepping up in life, that may inspire them to step up in life as well. Because that's one thing that happened with my wife. I had to step up because she got sick. Right? And now she's stepping up as well. She knows that I'm not judging her at all. And she knows that I will support her every single step of the way of her own journey. Just like she does with me. And that's what will make your relationship so much better. And that's what I wanted to share on today's episode. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the growth and the feedback. Remember to share, like, and subscribe. We are on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The link is in the episode description. And here are my final thoughts. By removing judgment from your relationship, you will be able to understand your partner even more and connect with them even more. And have a great day.